Card Ladder.
Let's move on to the question from Kevin M. Cormier. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Cormier. The good sell / bad buy paradox. I love it. Not only has he identified a huge problem in this hobby theoretically, but he named it. He titled it. So he says, when almost every voice in the hobby is saying to sell now, current example, Joe Burrow, because his prices are high. And those same people are saying it's not a great time to buy. Well, then who are we selling our Joe Burrows to? Who is buying them if we're telling them sell, sell, sell? And who is buying them? It's a great question, Kevin. He continues, are we all theoretically looking for the uninformed buyers or the simpletons? And if we all claim to want a more educated hobby market, is taking advantage of those people hypocritical?
Well, I mean, we get kind of caught up in the world we live in and what's around us on Instagram, and we think that everyone has all the same, YouTube content that we do. They watch the same stuff as we do. Everyone knows what we know, and everyone's trying to sell their burrow. eBay is a big fucking marketplace, and there's a lot of people on eBay that have nothing to do with any of the social media stuff, and they just buy cards. So there definitely is that swath of the simpleton or whatever, and some of those people are actually probably more savvy than we are. Like the people who lay in the weeds and don't need all the the hype and the fluff. They just kind of do their thing. But in these markets, there's always going to be buyers and sellers on both sides, and you're always going to be able to find somebody at some price point, and the market dictates what that price point is. And if you're able to sell at that price, there's a buyer. Like there's probably a justifiable reason for someone buying it on the other end. Now, the counterpoint to that is eventually when that sense tips too far and everyone is actually feeling like, hey, this is a sell, that's when you're actually going to see the middle finger stuff. And like everyone kind of realizes it at once, and then like the bottom falls out because the only value in that item is the actual value. And when that happens, the price starts to correct itself. So I'm not saying that's going to happen with Burrow, but it feels a little bit like that because everyone is saying so. Like we probably will see some sell off.
Yeah, Mission Street gave an answer to this in the comments when he said, actually, there's lots of different opinions on stuff. At different points in their career, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and LeBron James were sells as well. And it made me think about Mahomes, right? Like after Mahomes' first Super Bowl, that was the time to sell. But people who bought Mahomes after the Super Bowl and held him for 6 months did better than people who bought Mahomes 6 months before the Super Bowl and sold after the Super Bowl. So there seems to be a lot of hobby wisdom around when to buy and when to sell, but not very much empirical support, because that Mahomes example is one of many during which sell periods were when people who were buying did quite well, but not always the case. But I was talking to Jeremy Lee earlier this week, and he actually said that he would be ready to buy a Joe Burrow card after Burrow wins the Super Bowl, because his point of view on Burrow is he wants proven players. He wants players who've already accomplished things. He wants players who already have legacies and who are already, doing really, really difficult, admirable, incredible athletic achievements. So, like, to that point, and to Mission Street's point, there is not just one uniform approach. People who say sell Burrow now, but there's plenty of other people who say, I'm not even ready to buy Burrow yet. I need to wait and see if he wins. So there's lots of different approaches. And just because the loudest voices maybe make it seem like there's a monolithic approach, there is not. I'm also one of the guys who would wait until Burrow actually had the Super Bowl, maybe even wait to see what offseason moves the team makes, and maybe then I would get a Joe Burrow card.
Remember after Mahomes won the Super Bowl, and I started looking at Mahomes cards at that point. It's very similar to what Jeremy's talking about. So I completely agree with that stance. I think that's really smart. And you kind of wait for we're going to Disneyland phase to wear off on winning that first Super Bowl. And you kind of wait it out, and then eventually people will look at other things. They switch to basketball, and that's the point where it's all right, won the Super Bowl. The other thing, the last piece of advice was watch the fucking games. Watch these guys. Go watch them play. You just do the eye test for yourself. you get a sense of like if you watch Mahomes play, you're like, oh my God, I don't care how many Super Bowls this guy has already and how high his prices are. I think this is the real deal. Just go watch Joe Burrow, watch the playoffs, go watch highlights, watch the Super Bowl, really start to study him as a player and figure out what you think, make your opinion off of that if you want to play that prospecting game.
Yeah, I agree. And last point here, South Park is making in the chat. He says he is aware that, or he says buying even proven commodities does not always equate to market value. Big Ben does not sell well, even though he has 2 Super Bowls before he was 26 years old and 3 appearances before 29. Yeah, that goes back to the point you made earlier, which is a really good point, which is there is no playbook that's going to solve this. If you just input variables X, Y, and Z, then, you can know what's going to happen. It never works that way, does it?
The stock bros really want it to be that, though, Chris. They want it so bad.
Yeah.
Card Ladder, the best sports card app on the market. The future of sports cards is here. Card Ladder is the 21st century price guide and market analysis tool for sports cards. The best tools to help you track your cards. Watch the trends, stay informed, compare cards, and track the growth of your personal collection, all in one simple and intuitive platform. Join the innovators, not the imitators. The future is here. The future is now. Card Ladder.